Nobody warns you the thing you are spending your life building might be the very thing that hollows you out. That thing you have been chasing, the title, the bank account, the house in the right zip code, the respect from people whose names you will barely remember, it is not going to give you what you think it will. My name is Walter. I am 97 years old. I have watched brilliant, decent, and hard-working people reach the top of every ladder they climbed and stand there, alone, wondering why the view did not feel the way they imagined. And I have to be honest with you, I was one of them. For 40 years I chased. I called it ambition. I called it responsibility. But underneath all of that, there was something else going on. What took me a lifetime to learn, one quiet decision that finally set me free, I am going to give you today, not as a lecture, as an honest account from someone with nothing left to prove. There is a sentence I said to myself for most of my adult life. I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when I get the promotion. I'll be happy when the house is paid off. I'll be happy when the kids are settled. I'll be happy when I finally earn enough that I stop worrying. I said it so many times, it became background noise, like a radio left on in an empty room. I stopped hearing it, but it never stopped playing. I want to tell you where the chasing started. It started in the kitchen. I was 7 years old. My father came home from the steel mill with his boots still wet and told my mother, quietly at the table, that they had let him go. I remember the sound of that silence. I did not fully understand what had happened, but I understood the shame of it. I understood that something had been taken from him that was bigger than a paycheck. And I made a decision. I would earn enough, achieve enough, become enough that no one could ever take it from me. I was 7 years old, and that decision quietly ran my life for the next 4 decades. I was 52 years old when I made vice president at the manufacturing firm I had given 30 years of my life to. I remember sitting in my new office, bigger desk, different view, my name on a placard by the door, and waiting. I was waiting to feel something. The thing I had been told I would feel. The arrival, the completion, the sense that all of it, all the late nights and missed dinners and swallowed frustrations, had finally added up to something solid. I sat there for a long time, and what came was not pride. It was not peace. It was a quiet, unsettling question. Is this it? And here is what that actually means. I was not chasing the title. I was not chasing the salary. I was chasing a feeling, the feeling of being enough, of finally being the kind of man who did not have to keep proving himself. I thought achievement was the door to that feeling. I did not understand, not yet, that no door on the outside of you leads to a room that only exists on the inside. The finish line was never real. Every time I crossed it, they moved it 10 yards further, and I ran every single time I ran. You cannot earn worthiness. That is the thing nobody tells you when you are 34 and hungry and convinced that one more level will finally do it. Worthiness is not a reward for performance. It is a decision, and until you make it, no achievement in the world will make it for you. But here is the part that stays with me. While I was busy chasing enough, I was missing everything. For most of my 40s, I worked 60, sometimes 70 hours a week. I told myself it was love. I told myself that every extra hour I put in was an hour invested in my family's security. The new roof, the car that did not break down, the college fund that actually had money in it. I was providing, and in my mind, providing was the highest form of love a man could offer. My father had not been able to provide. I would not make that same mistake. What I did not see, and this is the part that is hard to say out loud, is that I had confused love with logistics. My son Daniel was 9 years old the summer he played Little League in Akron. I remember my wife Carol telling me about a play he made at third base, the way his face looked when he turned around to see if anyone had seen it. She was there. I was not. I told myself I would make it up to him later. Later? That word did me more damage than any failure I ever had at work. By the time I was 48, Carol and I were strangers living in a house we had built together. Polite strangers, the kind who pass each other in hallways and say the right things and feel the distance anyway. We came very close to ending it that year. I remember the night she finally said the thing she had been holding for years. "Walter, I do not need the money. I need you." I had spent 20 years becoming very good at providing and never once stopped to ask if that was what she actually needed from me. And here is what that actually means. I had built a life that looked like love from the outside. But love is not a balance sheet. Love is not the absence of financial stress. Love is attention. I had given my family everything except the one thing that could not be earned at the office. Myself. Now, here is what nobody tells you about getting old. The chasing does not stop automatically. If you do not make a conscious decision to put it down, you will carry it all the way to the end. And I have watched people do exactly that. I had a friend named Gerald, 84 years old, pension, paid off home, 3 grown children who called regularly. He was 84 years old and still measuring his life against someone else's driveway. Still losing, still miserable about it. Then there was Earl, 86, retired school teacher from western Pennsylvania. Modest house, old truck, nothing remarkable on paper. But when you sat with Earl, there was something settled about him. Earl had stopped measuring and started noticing. The difference between Gerald and Earl was not circumstance. It was one ongoing choice. Gerald was still proving, Earl had stopped. The miserable ones are still measuring. The peaceful ones stopped proving. I have watched that pattern across 97 years. It has never once broken. And here is what I came to understand, watching the two of them. Real freedom is not a bigger house or finally getting the recognition you deserved 20 years ago. Real freedom is when the things that used to eat at you simply do not eat at you anymore. It is not indifference. It is not giving up. It is the hardest kind of arrival there is. Real freedom is not needing anything outside of you to confirm that you are okay inside of you. Most people never get there, not because they were not capable, but because nobody told them that was the destination. I paid off my house in 1971. Sat at the kitchen table with the final statement in my hand. I had imagined that moment for 11 years. And something did lift for about a week. Then quietly, without announcement, new worries moved in and made themselves comfortable in exactly the same rooms. The economy, Daniel's grades, my health. Fear does not disappear when your circumstances improve. Fear is not a problem you solve. It is a habit of mind. And if you do not address the mind, it will find new material every single time. The real shift does not come from anything you acquire. It comes from a decision. You are already enough. Not when the debt clears, not when your children understand what you sacrificed. Now, as you are, with everything still unfinished, you decide it. Then you decide it again tomorrow. It is not a feeling that arrives and stays. It is a practice, the most important practice of your life. And that is the one quiet decision I told you about. That is the whole thing. So let me bring it all back home. You have been chasing, maybe for years, maybe for decades, and I am not here to tell you that what you built does not matter. It does. The work was real. The sacrifice was real. But somewhere along the way, you made a quiet agreement with yourself that you would feel good about your life later. After the promotion, after the house, after the kids were settled, and after the number in the account finally stopped making you nervous. You told yourself you would arrive, and then you would rest, and then, only then, you would allow yourself to feel like enough. I am 97 years old, and I am telling you plainly, there is no finish line. There has never been a finish line. The arrival you are waiting for is not coming, not because you are failing, but because that is not how any of this works. Happiness is not a destination you reach after sufficient achievement. It was never at the end of the road. It was always right here, in the middle of the ordinary, in the imperfect and the unfinished and the still in progress. I'll be happy when is a lie, a kind lie, a well-meaning lie, but a lie all the same. Everything you are looking for, the peace, the safety, the sense that you are finally, genuinely okay, it is already inside you. It has always been inside you. The promotion cannot put it there. The paid-off house cannot put it there. The respect of people who barely know you cannot put it there. You have to put it there. With a decision, a quiet, daily, deeply personal decision that you are already enough. Not a perfect version of you. Not a future version of you. You, right now, with everything still undone. Stop waiting. Decide it today.